Some people are very famous. Other people are sort of famous. But most of us, we aren't famous at all. But I think we all have something in common. We all have at least one great story, if not more. And this is their story. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Their Stories. This is your host, Mike Cotton, along with producer, director extraordinaire, Mr. Mark Schultz. And if anything messes up, we're just going to blame Mark. How's that? We have a couple of firsts today. We have a first and a second. The first is, our guest today is always interesting, funny, and he can be serious sometimes as well. But he's our first reoccurring guest, I guess is what you would say. And some of these people are saying, hey, you need to bring them back on and talk about some of those things you couldn't get to. We're going to get out of, and this particular gentleman, I think you all pretty much know him. We've been partners in the production business as far as projects go over the last 15 years. We've got a tremendous friendship. I would say we're brothers from other mothers, so to speak. We are been known as the odd couple. You don't even want to see what we are like on the road together. But today, and he's got all kinds of awards in the production film business, video, television, so forth. But today, we're switching gears a little bit, and my guest is Dave Barnes. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. Good to be here.
Good. It was just great out of your schedule that you could actually show up here. We're honored that you're sitting here on the sofa, which is a very coveted spot to be in our lives of Mark and myself. We've just done so many. I mean, I was counting the other day. We've done together over 100 national news stories from behind the scenes. And folks, you should have come along with us because we saw a lot of stuff you're never going to see, but you might be hearing about it in the near future.
Yep.
But the other thing about Dave and I, and we're always busy. I'm 76, and I think I'm still a semi-senior extremer. I'm still doing a lot of the stuff I used to do. I just do it a little slower. Dave's just a kid. I mean, how old are you now, Dave?
I'll be 68 next month.
Just a baby.
Yep.
Okay. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, Dave and I are actually senior citizens. And the thing that we do a lot of at this point in life in order to stay healthy, keep living, is we're involved in our diets, our exercise, whatever that may be. But we're also, and we have no choice if we want to live a little longer, that's the medical industry today, which is unbelievable what they can do today. And Dave, we're going to talk about some of the procedures we've had. But unfortunately, in the last 2 years, Dave and I are the poster childs for numerous dropped balls, fumbles, whatever you want to call it, that the medical industry has resulted in negative effects in our healthcare to the point that both of us almost bought the farm during the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And had we not settled for the status quo and looked at all our doctors as some kind of living gods, so to speak, we do research and we talk to other people and we get other opinions. So you should do the same too. And hopefully this show today is not to destroy the healthcare industry, but to talk about why a lot of these things are happening. And it may be more the business model and not necessarily always picking on the healthcare professionals, particularly your nurse practitioners, your doctors, and your surgeons. I mean, we've been worked on by some very, very brilliant people. But in the mix, there have been some things that have happened to us that should happen to nobody, really. I'm going to just talk a little bit about what happened to me, and we're going to go to Dave's. It's even a bigger story. And then we'll come back if we want to talk about some details, because we kind of got it covered. If you're talking about heart surgery, blood count, strokes, or any of these types of things, why they're happening and how you might be able to avoid them. I was, we're not going to mention names today, but unless it's positive. I was in the Baptist healthcare system for many years. I had open heart surgery at Baptist. Everything was going along great. And then you get on to Medicare when you turn, 65? I've been on so long now, I just feel like that's part of my life. But we reached a point in the Baptist system, they no longer took my insurance, which is, it happens. So you got to be ready to shift gears and go to another. Basically, you have to find a primary physician, and from there they refer all your specialists. And so I looked at the list of what was accepted. I found somebody. It sounded very cool, the name. They were private though and for profit, but they had numerous locations all over the state of Florida, and many more since I got on board with that primary, which I have to say today I'm no longer involved with, at least as one of their patients or clients. But a couple of years ago, but let's just say a year and a half ago, I got a thing on my eye that I thought was a sty. And I asked for an appointment, went in, and nurse practitioner looked at it. I think later the actual doctor of residence at that location all agreed it was a sty, it was a sty, it was a sty. And they put me on medication for that, and I've had these before. Well, guess what? Over a year, it changed shape. They gave me more and more powerful medications, and nothing was working. And I even went to my optometrist. What did he think? I was there getting glasses. They said, well, I think it's a sty. Sometimes you have to take ownership of your situation, and you've got to break ranks, and you need to go out and find other people that are specialists. So I found, through my daughter, who had actually worked with this company, an actual eye surgeon. And I got the appointment, and I went there. This was on my own expense. That surgeon walked right in and said, I'll bet you any amount of money that's skin cancer. And took the biopsy, came back positive, and there you go. So then appointment was made for me to have surgery. It's on the lower eyelid is where that was. Then I was also awaiting a hip replacement, which I'm a typical guy, put it off, went to the sports docs, got the injections for about a year and a half, and they kind of work for a while, and after a while, they don't work. And I'd reached what they call level 4 with the hip. So I was about 10 days out from the surgery, and I called my primary, and I says, look, I'm a Tylenol guy, and that's what I take, but I'm up to 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day, and I know I'm not, most people say don't go over 3,000. You could get liver damage from Tylenol. But been taking it for 50 years. I used to have pretty bad migraines back as a teen and a young man, and it got rid of those, and no side effects or anything. So this is bizarre. I'm on the phone, and I can hear the nurse practitioner yell across the office to the office manager. I guess everybody was out to lunch. Get Mike a prescription for naproxen. Tell him it'll be at his pharmacy in about an hour. Okay, naproxen. I don't know naproxen from an oxen. I've never heard the term of this medication, what the heck this is. But to back up about 12 or 14 years, I was at the Andrews Institute going through a procedure to get off of Lortab from a horseback riding accident. It was pretty severe. It broke pretty much all the ribs in the right side of my back, had a lung puncture, and at that point they put me on a low 5 milligram, and I've been taking it for like forever. But the laws and all in Florida and other states are starting to change where they look for ways to get you off a narcotic, and I'm game for that. I went in, saw a young doctor. He said, you're not going to get any narcotics. I go, I understand. What are you going to do? He says, well, we're going to put you on an exercise routine, stretching and all this, and then the medication is going to be ibuprofen. I says, well, I just go in the drugstore and buy that, right? He goes, not this ibuprofen. This is probably, I don't know if he said 5, 8, 10 times more powerful than the over-the-counter. I says, oh, I get it. So I got the prescription, and within 48 hours, I was going blind. I was getting hives. My ankles and calves were swelling up. The worst part is I was passing massive amounts of blood. In all my research over a long period of time now, I'm not what they call allergic to it, but most doctors will go, you're having a negative reaction. You can call it your mama. I don't care what you call it. I was dying. Quickly got off of that med, and they were not going to prescribe anything else. I said, fine, but this is killing me. Give me back my Lortab. And the nurse practitioner goes, Mr. Cotton, the Lortab's killing you. I says, yeah, but the ibuprofen's killing me too. But with the Loratab, I have a smile on my face when I'm dying. You can all laugh, okay? They're looking at me in the studio like, where's he going with this? So for 12 to 4, I think it's 14 years ago, this was no fault of the Andrews Institute. Nothing was on my chart, knew nothing about me having a negative reaction to this medication. So anyway, I quickly, in recent times, 2 or 3 days into this, of course, I'm off it again going, this is vaguely familiar, this reaction I'm having. I had a blood test in the interim within a couple of days. This never happens. My primary doctor called me in a panic, going, I've stopped all your surgeries. You would die of loss of blood on the table. I'm going, what are you talking about? He goes, your blood count's down to 6 and it's going south. You're a walking dead man, basically. You need to get in here. We need to figure this out. I'm like, holy cow. So, I go down to the local office. I meet with him. I've never seen a doctor panicking. This guy was panicking. And so they then lined up all these specialists, oncologists, the gastroenterologist, the endoscopy, the colonoscopy experts, and I'm getting all these tests, and they're all coming back, oh, we don't know why that happened. Again, I had to take my life into my own hands and then go on a mission, and I ended up at the Publix pharmacy with my good buddy. Let's just say his first initial is J. And he showed me where naproxen is really ibuprofen, which has been on all my charts for 14 years. Highly allergic, whatever you want to say, cannot take that. He then explained to me all these over-the-counter painkillers are NSAIDs. I go, what the hell's NSAIDs? He says, go look at all the pain, go look at ibuprofen, Motrin, all those different meds. Those are commercial names. And right next to the name is a bracket that says NSAID. I go, well, I went over and looked at Tylenol, and this doesn't say that. He goes, that's right. That's why you've never had a bad reaction. You've been taking Tylenol for 50 years. He said, I saw this come over my computer, and I got 6 pharmacists filling orders for me. And he said, I saw this, but I didn't break protocol. He says, I should have alerted you that this is going to be bad. And he said, I was torn. I've got a job. I've signed a contract. By the way, today this fellow is the regional director for Publix pharmacies. And I kind of owe my life to my pharmacists. So who knew? I'm going to all these people that got 8, 10, 12 years of college training. And they're all going, duh, I don't know. Okay. Here's the point. The nurse practitioner that yelled to the office manager, write him a prescription for naproxen, must have never looked at my chart, because unless they missed medication school and medical school, they would know ibuprofen is an NSAID, and they all know all those are NSAIDs. Why Big Pharma is not making this information available to everybody is, oh, money, huh? You think they make money, okay? And they do, okay? And the cost of that medication versus the over-the-counter is way different. So yeah, again, at some point you've got to take charge, and you've got to do your due diligence today. And I've switched primaries. I'm very happy. Actually, I switched primaries into a system that they were sending me to their specialists anyway. So, and I should have gone there in the first place, and I did not do that. So the case will move along. I am scheduled for skin cancer surgery for the eyelid on the 19th. I then have to go to a reconstructive eye surgeon to have it repaired, because right now this could be very bad, to the point I could lose my eyesight in the left eye, to it could just be some minor plastic surgery to cover that up. But you know what? I always wanted to be a pirate, so if I wear an eye patch, I think that looks pretty cool. So anyway, I did go forward. I finally got my hip done about 8 weeks ago. Go get it done. The shots are okay, but and Dr. Dabaziz did the surgery here in Pensacola, and believe me, I know his whole life story before I got under his knife, and it went fantastic. The recovery, I recovered a lot quicker than they thought, but as everybody knows, I'm hyper. I can't sit still, and 2 weeks after the surgery, I threw the walker down the hallway, and I was on a cane, and I would use the cane for a while, but it was more for balance. It wasn't, because your equilibrium, you get these kind of surgeries, and Dave, I think, will attest to it too. You come out of there, you can't smell anything, you can't taste anything, you've got no appetite, you've lost some serious weight. not the way you want to lose weight, but I'll take it. I needed to lose about 20. So I'm trying to keep 10 of it off. So anyway, I can go on for this, and we'll probably bring some of this up. A lot of this interacts with Dave. And I had open heart surgery 14 years ago. Very successful. I did do my due diligence because one of the surgeons, I didn't know him, but I found out he was a rock star. So Dave, you're on now. And you could talk about whatever you want in the medical industry, and you're like me. In our business, we learn a little bit about everything. I guess we could go to a cocktail party and
Exactly.
we could be talking to an aerospace engineer because we've done 3 films at NASA, maybe more, and we're interviewing the best of the best, and
Exactly.
we try to learn. But you, I mean, I've been on some of the stuff with you. You've done well over 100 medical films for, I know, 2 of the major hospital operations in the Panhandle, including a world-renowned, I don't know if he's orthopedic surgeon. I guess he is. He developed the knee.
Yeah.
And we can mention Dr. Andrews.
Right. Very
And
good.
I went there on a CBS when CBS got the Super Bowl, and we followed him and Mr. Pelly around for 2 days, and I got an education. But Dave's done a lot more in the medical field. But tell me your story, Dave, because this is going back, I know, 4 years, and Dave had open heart, replaced his aortic valve, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I've been told many times by the medical profession, those will, at your age, will give it 10 years. Maybe you should get a fake one. I'm not going on blood thinner. That's just not.
Exactly.
It's not the surgery. It's somebody when you're really active, and I'm a little bit of a bleeder. I was surfing a lot then, and I just didn't want to get a cut and have a puddle of blood in the ocean next to a bull shark. So it's a psychological thing too. But let's go back to there or even further back, but and you've had some issues in your family, heart issues and so forth, but you're living a much cleaner life. I know you've told me, but tell what happened.
Well, 4 years ago, I had open heart surgery to replace my aortic valve. Basically, it was stenosis, they call it, where it doesn't close all the way, so the blood kind of backs up. It doesn't get the job done, and you get very, very tired. So if you're out there and you get really tired all the time, you might check into this. It's a simple procedure to see it, and then they do the open heart surgery to actually fix it. Well, everything was fine. I mean, the open heart surgery is not a cakewalk, and it's not much fun getting on the table and going through all the surgery and all the hoses and everything you hooked up to. It's not that pleasant. Okay.
No,
But
let me ask you now, so the audience understand. This was an actual This was not a repair. I had a repair on my mitral valve, so they actually put what kind of valve in?
They put it in the bovine valve. I told them to give me a bull valve, but yeah, I've got a bovine valve.
There he goes, folks.
So anyway, they put this valve in.
No, it was a pig valve, right?
It was cowbell.
It was a cow.
Same as the one. The second one I got.
That should
same
be
thing.
better.
It is. It's, anyway, so they put that in, and everything was doing pretty good. I didn't really get my recovery totally because I was still a lot tired and what have you. And then 4 years later, it got really bad. I mean, I couldn't even walk from my couch to the bathroom without stopping in the dining room and resting. It was so bad. To go up the stairs to my bedroom was about a 2.5 minute walk, one stair at a time. It was really crazy. So they go back in, and they see that my valve is totally tore up. And my actual cardiologist, when I first got the valve, he remarked, maybe they gave you the wrong size. It's in the records. And so that's what I think happened. What happens when you get the wrong size, you don't get the effect you need, you have problems with energy levels, and then you get infections, which is what they thought I had. So my valve was all tore up. It was just a little flap. I was really near death. It was kind of interesting. My blood pressure dropped to like 20/40, which you might as well just be laying out somewhere. Then when they did that blood pressure at the hospital, at the quick care place, they were like, "How are you walking?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "How are you standing up?" So anyway, so they go in. Now my bitch is not with the industry. They do a great job. Heart surgery is amazing product. They do wonderful stuff. So they go in the second time, and the difference in the first and second time is dramatic. I got well very quickly, and I'm doing very well. I've got tons of energy. Everything's back to where it should be. So perhaps they gave me the wrong size, and that's unfortunate that it happens. Okay. The biggest gripe I have with the medical world, though, is not the work they've done on me. It's how long it takes you to even communicate. This is a true story. I live about a mile from Sacred Heart and a mile from the New Baptist Hospital. right in the middle. I could walk to either one in about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I will get on the phone to call my doctor, and I will be on the phone for 40 to 50 minutes before somebody finally comes back on and says, oh, we got to send you somewhere else. Are you kidding? I mean, the wait time on the phones is beyond real. It's amazing that they even have any customers at all. You wait and you wait. I literally put my phone on hold. Oh, yeah, it's on hold. I put it on speakerphone, and I go to work because it's going to be 40 minutes, 50 minutes before they get around to calling me again. This has happened to me dozens of times. It's got so frustrating that I'm sitting on hold trying to talk to my urologist recently, and I'm on hold, and I'm on hold, and I'm on hold. I said, forget it. I go to my car, I leave it on hold, I drive to the hospital on hold, I go into the office, and I go, I'm still on hold. Here's what I want to know. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry. You're sorry? You need more employees. You need somebody to answer the phone and take care of the questions. This is beyond 30, 40 minutes. How can you run a business like that? Just unbelievable. So now here's the other thing you need to do. I've got a little prostate cancer, as men do when they get older. And in Pensacola, they want to cut you open and do surgery, or they want you to go under radiation for like 7 weeks. Now, the process with cutting you open for surgery or radiation is you can have incontinence, you can have erectile dysfunction, which is pretty important to me. All sorts of things can happen to you. But you know what? There's a procedure called the Tulsa procedure. I can get it at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, and they go in under MRI, they go in with a little needle, and they go to the actual cancer places and ablate them, heat them up, poof, 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 poof. It's going to take me about 2 hours, and I go home. I'm not in the hospital for days. I'm not there for 7 weeks coming in for this or that. I asked my doctors about that. What about this particular procedure? Oh, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, the Mayo Clinic is doing something that doesn't work. There have been over 30,000 cases of this in the last 4 or 5 years. They don't want to do it here because you can't make any money on it. Okay, I'll go into the clinic, Mayo Clinic, at like 7 in the morning, get ready for surgery. They'll do it. I'll be out by 11 o'clock, and I'll go home. It's that simple, and they've killed off all the cancer in my prostate. So
the thing that Dave is showing here is who's running the show, and it's really it's
the money.
Well, we can start with lawyers because every time I go in, I have like a generic memo. And when every time I go to somebody new, you got to fill out 4 pages of paperwork. And I always go, you didn't get the memo. Here's the memo. And of course, it's a joke. And they go, well, you still got to fill it out. But it's really, it's all driven, and so many businesses today are that are subject to, malfeasance, malpractice lawsuits, whatever. My case right now, the professionals that are independent away from my situation are saying you definitely have a malfeasance case. But which means they either didn't follow their own rules or they're just dumb. The other one is, of course, malpractice. It's like they cut off the wrong arm. Well, they put in the wrong valve. Forgot. And another thing I just want to expand on what Dave said. If you want to get service, you live anywhere near your health providers. I don't care who they are. I have the 5 to 10 minute rule, and once I just hang up. So many times they come pick the phone up at 40 minutes, and then the call's dropped, or you're not in the right. Oh, you're not in the right department. Let me transfer you in the call. So I do a thing. I even have done this with attorneys. I've said I'll call there and I'll get the machine or whatever. I go with it. I go. I'm going to be near your area this afternoon, so I'll just stop by if that's okay. And of course, with medical people, they're all kind of in the same area, which is really cool now. But I go sit in there. They go, "You have an appointment?" I go, no. I just need to get this document here looked at by the primary physician or whatever. Boy, they put you right to the front of the line. It's like going in the emergency room with Blue Cross Blue Shield. You go to the front of the line usually because they know they're going to get paid. But money, lawyers, PR. I did have a surgeon that was going to come on this show recently. He loves what we're doing. He's renowned. Unfortunately, he's with a big medical operation, and guess who put the kibosh on it? The marketing department.
Sure. I mean, the reality is you need to be an advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Now, the industry in the world is changing. With AI now, I can go in there and say, I've got this symptom, I'm this age, I've got this weight, I had these surgeries, had this done, and it'll come back with lots of ideas on how to diagnose me as good as any doctor. Yep. As good as any, and then you can act on those things. It's amazing where the world is going with the information base we have.
AI is literally taking data
Totally.
from all these doctors
Right.
that are published or whatever, and then giving you an
And it's
answer.
going to give you an idea where to go. Now, that being said, your primary physician, well, you don't have a primary physician, you've got a, what do they call it, a practitioner,
Right.
nurse practitioner. You don't
Right.
even get to see the doctor. Your nurse practitioner is not going to be happy with you coming in and going, hey, I think these symptoms are this. What do you think?
Right.
They're going to go, yeah, that sounds good. Because you know what? That's the same result for them. They can't pretend to know everything.
No.
And the reality is, if you know where to find the information for your disease or your issue, go look it up. Because there's a lot of things out there that the doctors don't know, they've never been taught, they've never dealt with, they don't know anything about it, and so they're like totally oblivious to it. Like this TULSA procedure. Man, I'm telling you, I talked to 2 or 3 different doctors, and they like kiboshed it totally. Then I talked to people who are successful with it in down South Florida, and the Mayo Clinic, which I think is a pretty good place. All of a sudden, they're like, yeah, come on in, it's no big deal. What a difference. I mean, I don't have to go into the knife. I don't have to go into the surgery. Now, if it doesn't work, I can do the surgery later. If it doesn't work, I can do the radiation later. But let's try this first because it makes a lot more sense.
Do you wonder that maybe these people that are putting the kibosh on it this is the way they truly feel, or maybe they're being prompted to say this to you?
I think they get information,
Yeah.
and they generally feel that way, okay?
Yeah.
But at the same token, if they had the opportunity to do it in their system, they would be doing it.
They'd be doing it.
Yeah.
I got it.
That's the reality. I mean, the medical world has become, and most people, sadly enough, go to their doctors and go, yes, sir, whatever, yes, ma'am,
Exactly.
whatever, and they do whatever they're told to do. I'm not saying you don't do that, but I'm saying you research it. For very little effort and time, you could sit down. I learned about this TULSA procedure in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep, so I was checking stuff out. And it showed up, and I'm like, what is this all about? And then I further researched it, and it's like, wow, this is a whole lot better than getting cut open. It's a whole lot better than spending 4 or 5 days in the hospital. The difference is hospitals can't make any money at it.
Well, you have done, going back to Dr. Andrews, if you know Dr. Andrews, the Andrews Institute, he's out of Birmingham, but he moved his entire facility to Gulf Breeze, which is next door to Pensacola if you don't live here. He developed the orthoscopic surgery, is that what they call it?
A bunch of different things,
for the
right.
knees and I guess the hips.
Shoulders.
Right, so they literally didn't have to go in. Of course, his claim to fame is there's thousands of football players on high school, college, and the NFL players that he's held their careers in his hands. But I'm sure when he first came out with that, people are going, I
Sure.
don't know.
That's the way it is. And
Yeah.
no matter what industry
Any
you're
new
in.
technology,
Yep.
you know.
It's just even like AI today. A lot of people are afraid of getting into it and understanding it, and I understand that. But it's not that complex. You get in, you play around, you figure it out. It does amazing stuff. I'm in the business of marketing, and I can go in there, and after I've written a script for a client, click a button, it rewrites the script entirely. Better, okay, I hate to say that, but it's true. More personalized. I could say, make this more personalized. Bang, there's a version. Make it more clinical. Bang, there's a version. I can pick what I really want and make sure. Now, I have to get the basic information, so my
Sure.
clients have to hire me to do that. But I can, put this to the system and end up with really powerful results. I did that recently with some Facebook posts for one of my clients, which I do on a regular basis for them. And it's their only principal marketing is doing Facebook pushes, if you're familiar with that. We shoot little videos, we put them out there, we push them, what have you. I changed the script around a little bit, I let the AI people do it, and guess what? I got 30% more hits.
Yeah.
Just because of the way they worded it. It was more comfortable, whatever it was. Dave was too clinical, Dave was this or whatever. Who knows what I was? But when they went to that, I got a better result. Now that's all available if GPT chat is like, at $12.
Yeah, well,
$14.
again, and I was discussing this with my son, who's in a totally different business, but Facebook, and I don't know about a lot of other media, but I've been on Facebook since 2010, and gradually kept honing it. That I'm pretty successful at it. I help operate other pages for clients and so forth. But don't think that Facebook doesn't know you're spending a few bucks,
Okay.
and they may be giving you better coverage for that reason. So sometimes it's a good investment, but these people go on Facebook and they post this thing that says, well, these are my photographs and I've reserved
Yeah,
the
right.
right to a blah 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 attorneys and whatever. It's a free service. So once you put your photographs up there, that's all fair game. I mean, just so you know, in social media, just some inside ball. When we did our second NASA film, I had to meet with the public information officer. It was a phone meeting, And she signed off, and she says the next day, I'm going to have to meet with her team and explain what we're doing. This was hilarious. So I go, how many are on the call? She says 27. I said, well, I do answer to one person. It's a stretch if it's two. I said, but I'll tell you what this is. So the boss, she came back on. She goes, okay, that's great. Now, you do understand that the Elon's rockets is right at the 39A or B, right across from where you're filming the demolition of the launcher pad. And I went, yeah. We don't want to see that any stills or footage of that rocket and that pad in your film. I went, and I'm a wise guy sometimes. I go, oh, you mean that picture that's on the internet 10,000 times? Okay, we won't make it 10,001. How's that? And then we proceeded to. You could see it in the background. I mean, it's right there. It's like, that's. I guess these people got nothing to do. They're just trying to come up with something.
Yeah, people have to justify their jobs.
Right.
Now, this is a trick we do, and I hate to put it on the air, but I will. When we're creating something for an advertising agency, we're creating a film, we're doing some work for them, what have you. We will purposely make a blaring mistake, something that's really obvious, so they can find it and go, oh, you misspelled the boss's name, or whatever it might be, to justify their existence.
Yep.
Otherwise, they're going to tear up the rest of it. So we make some obvious mistakes. If they don't find them, we fix them anyway. Mm-hmm. But if they find them, they go, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, God, I'll fix that. It justifies their existence, and they feel better about the project because they had their hand in it. Okay?
Right.
The reality today is, folks, if you are doing anything in the film, the business we're in, the film business, I looked at something last night that came off of Google. It was a video showing AI video production. The guy put all these prompts in, made a movie for him, and it looked real. It's a really crazy thing. We just did a thing for Rooms to Go, the furniture people, and just for fun, we took Jeffrey, the owner of the Rooms to Go, and put him on a cowboy and put him in a horse and everything. All done by AI. We just picked the phase and connect. It was just for fun. They didn't use it for any marketing. But the reality is, it's that easy. So you better know what you're doing so that you steer your client in the right direction, because the production part, the marketing part, is going to be so easy for them if they know what they're doing. And you need to do that. In other words, my clients still need me to bring my wisdom to the table. Yeah, I've been doing this for 45 years. Here's what I think is going to work, and here's why. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? And let's find out together, and let's test this, and let's test that. They're all happy with that because we're trying to move forward with their company.
That's so true what you're saying.
The medical world needs to do that too.
Yeah. In the film business, which, again, I've done some. Dave's done dozens, if not hundreds, of medical films. But I got a call yesterday from the East Coast, and an old friend of mine, and he's got a backer for a film. And he called me and said, we're going to give you guys first shot at the first 15 minutes and the last 5 minutes. I go, well, who's doing the rest? AI. Mm-hmm. So actual filming, the real people, real stuff going on, we would do it the traditional way. Then everything else would be generated by AI, and then we would do the outro or the last scenes, and then the credits go on screen. I'm like, boy, this is going to put some people out of work.
A lot of people out of work. You look at the stuff; it's so realistic that if you and what you do is you go in, you say, here's the story, here's the dialogue for the story, and we want this guy to be 40 to 50 years old. We want her to be 28-year-old, whatever. And you tell that all to them. You click a button. Now, it doesn't happen instantly. It takes about 6 minutes, all right? But 6 minutes later, bang, there's the entire scene. And you've got people, you've got characters, you've got actors. They're using your dialogue with their voices, and the whole process is amazing. Now, that being said, this is happening in medical too. You can go in if you got a problem and you know what your problems are, type them all in, give it to the AI. They're going to come back with answers that are really good. Are they going to be perfect? Probably not. Are they going to be 99.9% ready? Yes. And then you can go to your doctor and say, this is what I think I have, and here's what I think we need to do. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts? You've at least now taken charge of it, as opposed to walking there going, hi, doc, I feel this way, I feel that way. What can I do about it? Okay? There's a million things also, especially as we age, because, getting old is a bitch. I fell in my driveway last week, and my employees came out and picked me up because I was like, oh, I messed my knee up. And so now I have a bad hip.
All his heart surgeries, guess who's there like day one when he gets home? Okay, Dave, get off the couch. We got to walk. That walking is...
it's important.
Yeah.
You can go to physical therapy and spend $275 an hour to do the same thing you could do walking around your block.
Well, I've been told more than once before AI, Cotton, guys like you discover the internet and you're going down the rabbit hole. And my heart surgeon said, "What do you think you could do the surgery?" I go, "If you keep me awake and give me a discount,
That's right.
I could do this, you know." And but the thing is, and I even this is really weird. They said we're lying to you, but you got a 30% chance we could fix your mitral valve. But in reality, we don't want to put at your age the pig valve in, and then you're in your 80s and now you're back on the table again because the thing wore out. So you had a guarantee of 10 years and it lasted
4.
if that.
Yeah.
So it came apart, you know. So anyway, Mark's queuing us on something here. How are we doing, Mark?
We're doing fine. We got 30 minutes in.
Okay, this proves, folks, there's one thing that AI I don't think can take over because you wouldn't believe it. That's podcasts. Because here we are in the freaking man cave, laid back. And my theory on podcasts is they come across because they're not real slick.
It's information.
Yeah, it's information.
Yep.
People are relaxed. There's no scripts per se. There's an outline. We're trying, but somebody can trigger one thing. We've already done it in this conversation half a dozen times. They trigger one thing, and then it goes into a kind of in another direction. And I know we get off a topic a little bit, but
Well, I want to say
it's
too,
related.
if you want to know more about these medical procedures that I'm going to go through, I'm going to be going through this thing at the Mayo Clinic in a week or two, and I'm going to be on Facebook explaining exactly what's going on, how it happens, what I got to deal with. And you're at an age where that's concerned for you, check out my Facebook page. You know, Dave Barnes. It's really difficult. My wife and I have pictures up there. Anyway, come check it out. If you want to know more about, if you're going to go through heart surgery and you want to know more what to expect, send me a DM, a message, or whatever. We'll talk. Give me a phone number. I'll be glad to explain anything I've been through, because people, the fear of not knowing stops people from doing the right thing, and they're worried about this, they're worried about that. You know, no. Information relieves fear, and the more
Absolutely.
information you can get, the less fearful you are, and the more you're apt to get a good outcome in what you're doing.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, you know, Dave and I, he's definitely lived a very active life in his film production business. I mean, how many helicopters have you fallen out of?
3 airplanes. No, I've fallen up. I crashed 3.
Oh, you crashed your airplane
Yeah.
on Gulf Shores.
Yes, but I've crashed 3.
And that's on YouTube.
That was on. Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, the takeoff, so that was.
But no, I've been in 3 airplane crashes otherwise, and a helicopter crash. Lived through them all.
Yeah.
Got some injuries I had to work with, but nothing serious.
Yeah.
And I've fallen off buildings, and all sorts of crap has happened in the film business.
I mean, talk about, people are like, oh, boy, that's so much fun or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of work. The thing in our business is if you don't have a passion for it, you might last 5 minutes because it's a lot of crazy
work.
hours, crazy diet, crazy everything. But you got to learn to roll with it and make it. You got to get the shot right, Dave. So we go. Here's
That's
a
what they're
side
paying us
story.
for.
So
Yeah.
we're over 30 miles out of Meridian, Mississippi, and I think at the time Gulf Power was around here, and they were building a so-called clean coal plant. And it was very innovative. We went there, went through all the classes, but it was all OSHA controlled. So we had the hard hat on.
We were shooting for
Yeah,
MSNBC. Whoever.
Yeah, the glasses. It was some big show on one of the big networks. So in these, if you ever been to a power plant, they have these big. It looks like scaffolding, but it's like permanent scaffolding, and they have like a construction elevator in there, 30 stories up. So we're up. We go up to 30 stories, and we get off. So at that time, we're using the big ancient P2 cameras.
Yeah.
That today everything's much smaller, and why do they like the networks like the look of those? Huh?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we get up there, and so we have a thing where usually we do this what we call a walk back, where Dave's filming, and then I grab his back of his pants and his belt, and I lead him back, and I'm watching for any kind of places where he'd fall on his ass, and the camera would fall on the ground. And I'm not worried about Dave; it's that damn camera I'm worried
right.
about. That's expensive.
That's right.
So Dave is leaning over the scaffolding, 30 stories up. We didn't have a drone that day. I think the drones were just coming out, and so Dave's filming. I turned around, and the OSHA lady, she looked horrified, and she was like,
That's because I was leaning.
"Yeah,
out
what
over the
are
building.
you doing?" I says,
Yeah.
"We're getting the shot. This is what the client wants. We wouldn't foot the bill for a helicopter." She goes, "Well, what if his belt breaks?" I go, "I'll get the camera. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it."
That's all right.
She literally walked off the job.
Well, I'll tell you another injury story, because I've had millions of them. We could talk forever on that. We're shooting Muhammad Ali downtown here at the convention center. Okay, Mark says he remembers
Oh,
that.
yeah, I remember that.
So we got 4 or 5 cameras set up to do these filming, and I'm walking out off this, with the ice had some boards over it, and I stepped off the board and hit the
God.
ice, and I slid, and I threw the camera in the air, and the guy behind me caught the camera.
Thank God.
And I went up and hit my head, my back, my head, my whole body, boom, on the cement. I'm like, ah. So then I get up, and I walk over to the sound guy. I say, my tears are shooting out of my eyes, okay? I walk over to the sound guy and say, talk to me. I got to look cool here. So I'm trying to be cool because there's 6,000 kids in this auditorium cheering me along, you know, crap. Oh, it was crazy. Next day, I had black and blue from my ankle all the way up my back, up my ass, up to my head. Black. I mean, we're talking about as black as it gets. See, it's amazing. Yeah, you live through the shit. Now, when you're younger, you can recover from it a lot faster.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about running one time. We were doing some filming for Midland Co-op Land O'Lakes. It was feed for cows, cow feed. So sunrise comes up. I go, oh, I get a great shot from the top of this barn of all these animals, you know, in the barn there. This would be great. So I run up the side of the barn that was in the sun, and it was, you know, the ceiling, the rafters in the ceiling, but the what's the word? See, after the stroke. Anyway, I run up the barn, and I jump over the top. Well, guess what? The other side had dew on it.
Oh, gee.
Okay, right off the barn. I'm like, oh, I got to hit the ground, and it's all cow manure and all this kind of crap. I got to roll. So when I hit the ground, I rolled a few times. I'm like, I hosed off for days to get rid of that smell. Unbelievable. And then last story before we quit all the show here, another funny one. We're doing oil refineries. They got those big drums of oil, you know, and you walk up, and they got a little catwalk that steps out on them. And I want to get this shot of the refinery at sunrise because the sun's going to come right through all the pipes. You know, that's what you're thinking about the shot. That's it.
The money shot.
Yeah, money shot. When am I going to get here? So I walk over in this little catwalk. I step over the catwalk, and there's dew on this metal top. The top's kind of curved, you know, and those big oil drums, whatever they are, huge. I get slip, bang, and I hit the ground. I start sliding. And I'm like, you know, at the end of this thing is all rock below. So I lay real flat. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be it. Let me slow this down a minute. I stopped. Good. So I'm going to turn around to get off. I start to turn, and I start sliding some more. So then I lay flat again, and I stop now about 10 feet from the edge of this cliff. And the guy I was with, he's a guy named Wentworth Mike. He's walking around going, Dave, where are you? Hey, Dave. I'm like, I'm up here. I don't want to move. So I literally stayed there until the sun came up, and I could put my hand on that metal piece and stuck a little bit so I could get up. Because it's, you know, you kill yourself off. You're not getting any business in it, you know. It's not good.
People, they don't understand, and they don't even think about it, I guess. You know, when you're watching a movie or whatever, people like me and Dave are watching stuff. We're thinking about, well, where's the light? Why is it the lighting guy over here? And some of the audio, and you know, you'll be on a date with whoever or whatever, and they go, you can't watch. Can't you just watch? Like me and being in music too. You know, if that band just changed this little thing, they'd be great. They're good, but they'd be. It's like, can't you just sit back and enjoy it? No, because we've been there a bunch of times.
What my wife hates is reality shows. We see any shot of a town in a reality show, I go, oh, that's Tulsa. Or that's Chicago. Yeah. I've been to all these towns. Like, how the hell do you know all this stuff? I mean, even my son was like, what the heck? You know every single town in America. Not quite, but a whole lot of them. I mean, after 55 years of doing this, thousands and thousands of films, and clients paying for my expenses, you know, to Vietnam, to Europe, to whatever, over the years, it's been interesting. I mean, I go to cocktail parties, and I can certainly share some interesting stories. But get back to medical here. Take charge of your own medicine. Don't assume the system is going to help you out. Now, they do. I'm not saying the system's wrong. These people are passionate about what they do, but they don't have the answers. And you know, sometimes you need to find the answer yourself, bring it to them, make it make sense to you, because what you're doing now by letting the people in the industry do it for you is you're at their mercy. And there are lots of people that don't live today that aren't alive because they listened to what their doctors had and there were other ways to go. Research it. There are a million people doing stuff. Don't take the first.
I feel like this, and I guess I don't have the total facts to back this up, but just by observing, I've got the feeling that the people that are doing the day-to-day work, not the big-time surgeons or wherever, they basically, I'm sure they've got quotas. They've got to see so many people a day. So
Yep, to make it work.
they're overworked, you know, a lot.
Well,
You know, you can't blame them sometimes.
People don't realize when you go to the doctor and you've got insurance, that doctor might get $20 for that visit.
Yep.
Okay? So to make that operation work and the office work and everything, he's got to see 15, 20 people a day, and so does his associates, in order to make it even work. Because the way they got the insurance now, it's just like my open heart surgery, 2 of them, I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. Through my wife. My wife works for the state of Florida. Got it through them. My total outlay for 2 open heart surgeries might have been $1,500
Wow.
that I had to pay for. They covered everything else.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Well, it's definitely room for improvement. But again, it's like you say, information, knowledge, and then you have to some point take charge. Just a sidebar of possible upcoming guest, my dermatologist, who is independent. Thank you. He doesn't have a marketing department, but he's very, very good. And so, he's asked me questions, about surfing, and obviously, zinc oxide was not what it was advertised to be.
Oh, yeah.
Or we wouldn't be seeing dermatologists. So, all I can say to you, and you've heard it a million times, is you got to wear sunblock and stay out of the sun. I'm paying for it now, but I've got off kind of lucky. About once a year I get something removed, but so far it hasn't been that horrible. But yeah, I mean the products today are
Well,
highly improved.
in the
and I
summertime-
hope to get him on the show.
Yeah, I mean, summertime, I have not put sunscreen on my entire life, and I'm a blonde-haired character. You get enough sun, it just becomes kind of a permatan, and I've had no cancer from any of that. Now, I am getting these things in my arms. I call them senior tattoos.
Liver spots.
They're not even liver spots. You bang yourself, and all of a sudden you got this huge mark on there.
Don't worry, they have a cream you can put on there and it'll do a skin peel.
Yeah, maybe. I don't care. But the reality is it's not that big
It
of a deal.
works.
But again, and if anybody's out there and they want to know about open heart surgery or prostate cancer or stroke, I did have my mini stroke, no big deal, but it was interesting. I'm telling you, it's very interesting. Get a hold of me on my Facebook page. I'll be glad to share any of this stuff with you. I'm transparent. I'm not worried about people think, oh, gee, he has prostate cancer. No, I'm going to beat prostate cancer very quickly without doing all the surgeries and everything else. And if it doesn't work, I'll let you know. I'll let you know we need to go back in and get the surgery done or whatever it might be. That's the way it should be. Communication, that's what these pods are all about. Share stuff with people.
I'm going to remind Dave of one gig we were on. I think it was Barbecue, and it was July. We were up in like Huntsville or somewhere.
It's warm.
About 150 degrees out, and of course not a whole lot of shade. And all of a sudden, I'm working with somebody on something, and I hear Mike, and I look over and I see Dave just
Tip
going
over.
down. And I ran over. Of course, we dipped all the towels and stuff in the coolers. Laid there, but it was just Dave he dehydrated is what happened.
Now, that being
because he
said-
gets so busy, he forgets to take care of himself.
All right. That being said, I still held the bottom of the big sign they had
Yeah.
off camera so they could get the shot.
Yes.
And I was on the ground.
Well, you always
laying
got to
there.
get the shot. I mean,
That's right.
Funny side stories is, and we can talk about certain ones, but ones are better than others. Is you see Jim Cantori or whoever's the correspondent, and there's really in the years we were doing tons of this work for the Nationals. The only people they would send in would be the correspondent that you'd see on TV, and then the producer who was either really young and fearing for their job, or had been there since the Walter Cronkite days and was looking at his watch going, I don't care what you do, I'm going to retire in 6 weeks. So you're Mike and Dave, y'all been here forever, so I'm sure it's going to be great. But what people don't know is when Jim Cantori's hanging onto a pole, there's also 2 or 3 of these guys and gals holding lights and working with audio and 2 or 3 cameras, and they're about to get blown away. In fact, there was one in Biloxi. We almost did get blown away. We were
yeah.
filming a Quonset hut with a bunch of boats in it. What was that? Was Isaac? Hurricane Isaac?
I don't know which one. They're all the same. There's
They
too
sent
many
us
of them.
down to the beach at 2 a.m, wake us up. They checked us out of the Hard Rock. That was the worst part.
Right.
We had the Hard Rock, but they put us up at a Days Inn on the interstate, and then they said they're going to call. So and the guy who was the independent producer, he refused to go.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever work for that network again.
No.
But Dave and I went, and of course we're getting out of the cars. The cops are in their cars, looking at us, and we got our placard for the
Hurricane,
network,
right.
going, "What are these guys doing?" And we're out there, and this was not like an Ivan or a Katrina, but it was pretty spiffy. But we're getting these what I call squall lines coming in. So the wind was blowing 30, 40 miles an hour. So we're filming this Quonset. A squall line comes in. Now the winds are like 70, 80. So we got the big P2 camera. Dave and I weighed a little more. You weighed a good 220.
Yeah, over that.
And
right.
we're hanging onto a tripod. These tripods are not that light, and I'm hanging onto Dave and the tripod. And the squall line came, and we literally lifted them off of the ground.
We went aerial.
And I looked at the cop, and they go, "You guys are crazy."
So we got the shot.
Now we got in the car, and so I drive. So next thing I know, Dave's hanging out the window. I'm like, You know, I think we had a stop sign fly by our
Yeah, we
heads.
did.
Yeah,
Exactly.
From that point on, we always wore like a motorcycle
Yeah,
helmet
put it exactly.
or a football
or
helmet.
a baseball helmet.
Yeah,
the
some kind of
batting
hard
helmets.
hat, you know. So,
So you don't get hit in the
that's
head.
some little sidebars of what you see is not
You know,
what's happening.
And all that being said, we do get injured, so you got to figure out how to solve that problem. You know, when you
Yeah.
get hurt.
You have to improvise out
Yep.
there,
Punt.
and just we've not had hardly any interns survive more than one a day on those jobs or whatever.
It's tough.
They're like, what do you're not eating right, you're hot, I'm too cold, I don't have the right food, I'm not, like, yeah, but we're successful.
Yeah, we
You
get
know, it's a big
we get to eat. I
How
mean,
we doing on time there, Mark? Are we
Let's do 5 minutes.
okay? Let me. I got to pay some rent, Dave. In fact, it may help your business
All right,
too,
there.
because we are being sponsored today by Mike Cotton Productions. We're a full-service film, video production business. We say film is just a terminology. Does somebody shoots in film around here that I don't know? We have to send it to like Atlanta to get it
Yeah, yes,
processed.
yeah, New
but
York.
we can make video look like film. There's software that does that. For the last 15 years, since and we did a TV show called Senior Extremers, which Dave came in and said he could help me on. I said, fine. Showed up at his house the next day with the contract, and he owned half the show. We're now developing that into a movie, which is going to be on my website soon. But we do anything and everything, and anything I do in film and video production, Dave is always co-producer and director. And, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So we're happy to be able to work with Dave, and Dave calls us in to help him with certain things as well, but we take like a lesser role in that. So you're going to get quality production. The other thing I've been in now around for about 30 years is digitizing. If you have old movie film, it can get what they call vinegar syndrome, and if it starts smelling weird, it's all delaminating, it's fading out. It may not be digitizable. Is there a word? I just made up a new word, digitizable, anymore. This videotape, audio tape, your cassette tapes, we do all that stuff reel to reel. Most types of the videotape, but most of those are the VHS tapes that everybody has owned at one time. Tape of any type has metallic. Does anybody know what metallic is? What it-
Metallica. It's a band.
It's a band
Metallic.
too. Yeah, it's like Crash Test Dummies. I was going to start a band
Correct.
called that, but it's already been done. Okay. It basically is just another word for metal. Okay. And all tape has a metal coating. It's what carries the visual, the video, and the sound. What does metal do? It rusts. So all this videotape and audio tape, I don't care how you got it stored, just in time, it's going to start to deteriorate. And we're now seeing more and more sad stories that come in, and we digitize it, and it's not quite as good as it should be. Some stuff is just, we say, we'd love to take your money, but we can't. And with good conscience, we can't take your money because juniors kindergarten graduation looks like they're all Casper the Ghost, But you can start to tell if you start to see lines and stuff. The more you play that on those old machines, the more wear and tear on it. We do have a service now, just started it, where we do have most of these machines, and we can work a deal with you where you can watch it one last time before you spend the money to digitize. I don't know, that could hurt us a little, but I think overall most of the stuff, it still can be done. So we have that. It's basically you get a credit towards your purchase, and if you spend $100, then you're getting these credits, so it doesn't really cost you anything to watch it. But that's it. One time on the old machine, then let us digitize it. Then you can go to drives. You can go in the cloud. It could go in a DVD, a CD, whatever. So the other thing is now, hey, we're doing a podcast. We're doing a podcast, Dave. We're looking for unique businesses, celebrities, entertainers, people in scientific, the medical world. We are looking for a nonprofit. We have a special arrangement for nonprofit organizations to get your message out. Also, a unique kind of business, but we'll talk to anybody, and we're going to have a lot of different variety in what we do here. So if you're interested, 850-384-1484. Mark will have that up on the screen.
And you also get a hold of Mike. One thing that we've done for a number of people is you've got grandma and grandpa, and they're like 1,000 years old. You want to learn those stories. So we put them on camera. You work up like 50, 60 questions you want to ask them about. When you were 12, what happened here? What was that? Whatever it might be. And you record it all. So that future generations can learn about Billy, Uncle Gramps, Uncle Matt, whatever. Because people forget.
Yep.
I mean, my parents have been gone for years. What I know about them, what I kind of figured out before they died when I was 20, So that's a service. It's very interesting, very reasonable. Talk to Mike. We can do that for you. And we just set up a camera and we record it all. We digitize it so your family and friends and relatives and everybody can watch it, put it up on the internet. Somebody can go there, just follow the link. And it's a great way to capture the history of your family.
Yep.
Because they're going away. If you don't do it now, you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? And that's the reality.
Yeah, we run to that. Even we do lots of documentaries. Dave and I have, I think we have 6 of our own. We're very proud of them, particularly Back to China Beach, which has won awards, and it's a Vietnam era film. Starts out with guys my age that were surfing in the middle of a battle and wars over there in Vietnam. We went to Vietnam and actually spent a week over there filming, which was incredible. But we do a lot of work for clients, that are more along the line of documentaries, historical type films. But
Today you tell your story.
Yep.
If you're in business and you don't have your video production in a sense that
Yep.
your customers can go look at who you are and learn about you, it's going to make sales. It's how you create sales today because everybody's on the internet. Mm-hmm. Nobody reads anymore. I'm an author. I get 7 books out. Do people read? Nah, very little. Okay. I sell most of my books when I do lecturing, just because I'm in front of people. People go, "Oh, let me get a copy of the book." That's the best way to do it, but that's the reality. So you put video together, podcasting, information where they don't have to do anything but listen or watch. You're going to get sales.
hey, I got a new car, and I got a big, thick manual, and I started to look at that. My eyes glazed over, so I couldn't find a 12-year-old kid that knew how to work all the gauges. So where do I go? Go to YouTube
Yeah.
and get it on my phone, and then that works for that. I mean, these cars, they don't even have a key. You have a key, it's in your pocket, So I don't know what happens if you get locked out. So, by the way, I do
a new
know
world.
a guy that does all the car dealerships here at the Keys, and he's a magician, and some of the biggest locksmiths in the area couldn't figure out some work I needed done on key fobs. This guy immediately took them and fixed them in 10 minutes, So anyway, give us a call. Let us know what you can send a text to me or a message on Facebook. On our website, at the bottom of every page, there's 2 buttons. One will take you to the main Facebook page, and the other one will take you to our YouTube channel, which is where these shows are going to be. This is going to be the source link. So when you see a link wherever it is, it's going to take you to that channel. We have all kinds of good stuff on there. I think right now I've got a sampling of about 70, 75 films that we've done, all different kinds of things. I do want to mention the Dean Dillon concert we filmed solo. He wrote Tennessee Whiskey, 21 number ones for George Strait. We just surpassed 520,000 views on that particular video, so we're proud of that. Unfortunately, Facebook doesn't pay big money on royalties. I know I owe you probably $50.
Right, exactly. Not worth the effort. And again, maybe Mark will put my phone number on the screen too. Text me if you got these medical issues and you want to talk, because that's where you learn information from people. I don't have all the answers, but I've been through it.
Yep.
So I can help you understand what to do, how to handle some things, and give you some encouragement.
Medicine
today
I
is
had
great.
20 people ask me about the hip replacement. Well, how'd that go? I go, well, actually, I was knocked out during the surgery,
right.
and I said, but I can tell you what happened before and what happened after. But
Well,
but I can tell you what they did. I watched the operation.
But you don't have to be.
Yeah.
I had carpal tunnel surgery. I filmed the whole thing with my phone.
Yeah.
And I put it up, and it's bloody. Yeah, sure. They get in there and they get those. But the whole point is you can do that.
Unfortunately, when they cut your thigh wide open, you probably are not supposed to be awake.
No, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me film my open heart surgery. They said no.
Dave, you're crazy. That's why I like you.
But I would have done it if they'd give me the go ahead. I would have been figuring out some way to run a camera, just so they could see.
Anyway, hey,
Dave.
Dave's he's part of the family, and he'll be coming back again. And so, tell me, as far as in your day job, what's going on? Anything exciting coming up here? That
No,
you're
just a
working?
lot of corporate work. People
Yeah.
are getting excited.
That's real money, Dave.
I'll tell you what. I have clients that used to spend $2,000 and $3,000 a month on Channel 3.
Yeah.
Now they spend $600 a month on Facebook and get better results.
Right.
There's a way to do that. So if you want to learn how to do that, we can show you how to do that, and it makes a huge difference.
And the cool thing about that, you could pick a Democrat, ages,
Yeah. Pick
male,
the-
female, states, regions.
Yep.
So you can kind of get, because I mean, they don't know where your market is, and when we have, Dave more so, but I've had clients in the country, outside of the country. We've gone out of the country several times to film with Dave, we can work with whoever. The same with the digitizing. People are like, well, how do I get it to you? Well, I wouldn't put it in the mail, but I would send it like FedEx or UPS is the
Right.
best way to do it. They've
Protection.
never really lost any of our stuff. So, all right. Well,
right.
Dave, thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah.
As always, you can take me to lunch. And
There we go.
yeah, see, at happy hour, you can buy me a beer. I actually am drinking a little beer now, but One thing these surgeries do, you kind of lose your taste for a lot of alcohol.
After the last open heart surgery, I could not eat anything with tomatoes that tasted like metal. And I love pizza, and I love spaghetti, and it took about 2 months, a month and a half to get back to where I could really enjoy that stuff because it tasted just like metal. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's weird what these surgeries will do to you like
Yep.
that. They
That's
tried.
right.
My primary says, "Well, you have COVID." I go, I says, "I've been through this before with open heart.
Yeah.
You just everything just food just doesn't smell right. You know.
Yep, it's not good. All
Anyway,
right.
appreciate it. Be sure and keep us in your orbit, and you can see us on YouTube. Mike Cotton Productions on Facebook and on the website, MikeCottonProductions.com. Anyway, just remember, some people are very famous. Other people are famous somewhat.
Some of us are infamous, but that's another story.
Yeah, don't listen to Dave. I've been doing it now. Dave's the deal. And he's a real producer, too. That's amazing. But most of us aren't famous at all. But everybody's got a great story, and usually more than one great story. And that's what we're all about is let's talk about life. I think the success of podcasts today is the fact they just come across more real. People are more relaxed, and it's like friends sitting around, having a conversation, and getting that information out there. We'll see you next time on Their Stories.